The channel's evolving and it's changing rapidly, more rapidly than ever. We need to speed up going from product concept to revenue at the MSP. All our energy should be focused on doing just that.
Every single vendor at some point in time is going to fall down. They're going to make a mistake. It's going to impact the relationship that you have with your MSPs, your partners. The best thing that you can do through these times, and the best thing you can do right now, even if times are good, is prep for that. And the key to it is always be there for your partners. The true sign of a vendor is how you react when times are bad, not when how times are good. So make sure you're prepped for those scenarios and situations.
Welcome to Partner Tech X. I'm Scott Campbell with the Global Technology Industry Association. This week we are in Phoenix with Bapti & Company talking about the state of channel relationships today. And I am pleased to be joined right now by two heavyweights, no offensive, no pun intended there, in the channel.
I'm working on it.
Rob Ray, Corporate Vice President, Communities and Ecosystem with PAX8. Oli Thordarson, President CEO of Alvaka Networks, one of the big nationwide global cybersecurity MSPs, IT service providers. Thank you guys very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So we're here to talk about, again, like I said, the state of channel relationships today with vendors. So I want to first ask you, let's get the positive. What is the best thing about vendor channel relationships today? Oli, I'll start with you.
Yeah, when it's going really well, it's a technology that we need. It's structured with, multi-tenant portal so that we can do a one-to-many servicing with our clients. The contractual rules of the engagement, those are good and they don't feel adversarial. And that partner helps us with the resources that we need, onboarding clients and maybe bringing my salespeople up to speed on the technology, bringing my technical people up to speed on the technology. When that's all well orchestrated, that's wonderful.
Rob?
The positive, I think that our community actually works really well together, probably better than it ever has before. I've been in the MSP space now for about 25 years, and every day it's like a marriage. Every day you got to continually work hard at it, and you got to make sure that everybody's happy and moving forward. And I think that we're in a better spot now than we probably ever have been, because there used to be a time where partners didn't trust the vendors and the vendors didn't trust the partners. And I think we've done a lot towards that. I'm not saying by any means it's perfect, but I think there's definitely more support, more understanding of the MSP channel than ever before.
All right, that's great. I want to do a quick reality check. What percentage of your vendor partners would you say now are good to work with? Oli, we'll start with you.
Wow, that's a somewhat of a difficult question. It requires a lot of thought, but I'll come at it from another direction thinking, which ones am I not happy with and what percentage? I would probably put that into 10 to 20% category that it's not going well, which means 80% of them are going pretty well. The reasons they don't go well, it usually starts off on a bad foot. It's just a contract that's really contrary. I understand companies need to have an agreement that protects the company and limits liability, but some are just patently obnoxious and seemingly one-sided. So that's an issue. And then it rolls into maybe pricing issues and billing issues that are dysfunctional, lack of tech support or product releases that suddenly fail. We've been using the product for a while and then all of a sudden the product isn't working the way it used to. Those are the things that lead to contention and a dysfunctional relationship.
Okay, and theoretically probably a short-term relationship, right?
If it is not fixed within a relatively short order of time, I'd say within 6 months that we're moving on.
Okay. Yeah. And Rob, what percentage of vendors would you say are good to work with?
Oh, I love all the vendors that we work with. Of course, I have to. But no, I mean honestly, it's a really good kind of state of where we are. But what Oli talks about is, and look, no vendor is perfect. We know this. I mean, our organization, PAX8 alone, we all kind of grow. We come out with new features. Sometimes it breaks. And you're right. I think the biggest sign, though, or the relationship with the MSPs, for every vendor, I think the most important part of it is you're going to fall down at some point. don't stop answering your phones. Don't stop answering your emails. Don't disappear, because, the true sign of a vendor and the relationship and how important the relationship is with the MSP is how you respond during those times. And I think you're right. Like if the vendor disappears or just kind of ignores the issue or dismisses the issue, that's when they're going to lose the business for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. If a good response, it's fast and effective and earnest and heartfelt, will build a solid relationship. Anything else is going to deteriorate that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, Oli, you mentioned in the panel too, that was a challenge maybe is you would like, or a request, you would like vendors to be easier to onboard, right? To go from concept to revenue. I really like that phrase, going from concept to revenue. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it would be nice if the vendor community has walked in our shoes more than they've had. Some have not walked in our shoes at all, and some have not even walked in the shoes of a small business of any sort. Mm-hmm. And so there's a severe mismatch on understanding. And they're coming at us with marching orders from their higher ups. So they're coming at us with a mission, their mission, not our mission. The winners are going to be the ones that can truly peel the onion back and understand how we operate and what's going on inside our companies and what are the stressors, and then start adapting their offering and their approach to onboarding and their approach to the ongoing business relationship in a way that really works for the partner, if we really truly are a partner and it's not just a buzzword.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of organizations, especially, we see more money, we see more people that don't come from the SMB space that are entering into the MSP space, through a vendor or something like that. So they do not understand that SMB is different. MSPs who serve SMB are different than what any experience you potentially have had in the enterprise space. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. A former company that I worked for, a new CRO, came from that enterprise space technology. And I remember one of the first meetings that we had was with about a $400 million MSP, so a very sizable MSP. And I remember he was in there and he's saying, it's nice to finally talk to an enterprise company in this space. And this $400 million MSP actually stopped him and said, wait a minute, we might be at $400 million, but we serve the SMB market. So we still think very much like that SMB. So yeah, it's not like we're evolving into enterprise. It's always going to be this way. And we're seeing billion-dollar MSPs that still only sell to SMB. And that just talks about the total addressable market. But the understanding of what it's like to live in the shoes. I've never worked for an MSP, but I have visited probably hundreds of MSP offices over the course of my career, spent a lot of time with MSPs talking and that kind of stuff. That is critical if you're going to build a program, build some technology, understand their go-to-market. You can't just do it in a silo and then give it to everybody and assume it's going to be awesome.
By the way, not for nothing, but that is where a community or an association like GTIA could come in too and help, right? Like you can come in and learn more about the SMB market, learn more about the market you're trying to reach from your other members.
I get all my data from GTIA as far as what's next, what's now, what's important. I was just on stage with Oli in a panel, and I probably quoted 6 or 7 GTIA.
By the way, Rob also
points.
said, I know I probably quote GTIA research too much. You can never quote GTIA research too much. Let's get that out.
It just sounded like a big GTIA ad. But, I mean, really, honestly, where else are you going to get more or better data in this space? So.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about how technology, specifically AI, is kind of changing channel vendor relationships too. Obviously, every vendor here at Partner TechX is looking to figure out how to leverage AI, how to implement AI within their channel partner programs to be more efficient, more automated, more profitable, more productive, et cetera. How are you guys, how do you want to use AI from the vendors? Or do you find that the vendors are working it or doing it now, or are they still going through the growing pains themselves?
I think there's 2 pieces to this. Number one is I think all of the vendors are trying to build AI functionality into either current plans of what it already has, or they're building supplemental products that are going to be bolted on or potentially even new to the market. So I think there's the technology aspect of that. We're doing that. But more importantly, what we're doing is actually creating understanding that this is the journey that we're going to be on. It's critical that the managed service providers are successful in this. So we're actually investing more into the training, education. What is this going to look like? Kind of forecasting of it, because there's things that we need to think about. For example, if you have a technology and you can't demonstrate for the managed service provider, A, how to sell it, B, how to position it, C, what objections you're going to get, but most importantly, how you're going to make money at it, it will not sell. It will not sell. It will not work. So we need to think about those things, because, and I'm curious as to what your thoughts are, but this whole idea of what we've been doing or how we've been selling technology per seat, per user, per whatever is not going to work when it comes to AI. It's going to be probably more of a per outcome or a hybrid between those two. And vendors have to recognize that and be able to have that conversation of, here's how you're going to make money.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll just put a front end caveat that all the changes, I feel like I'm pretty visionary and pretty adaptive, but it's kind of got my head spinning, right? The change is so rapid, and what it's going to look like, I'm not quite sure. In 2 years, 5 years from now. But I will share something with you, Rob, that was really stunning for me in the last couple of weeks. We did 2 engineering summits where we flew 1 week we flew half our engineers in for a summit and education and team building and whatnot. And then the next week we flew the other half in. And then I did a little mini keynote at each of those summits. And I told the guys, I said, look, nobody's closer to the customers than you. You guys know what the customers need. The management team needs to hear from you on what's needed. And I was stunned that mid last week, one of my guys writes me and says, hey, I want to show you something I developed in AI. Mm-hmm. And he showed it to me, and it was like a total game changer, which would move us from, at least on the consulting side, from project billing and time billing to fixed price billing. Mm-hmm. And it would cut our workload 50%. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of opportunity to become more competitive in the marketplace and still make more margin. So then Sunday, I get another email from another guy, and he says, hey, I want to show you something that I developed in a different area. So I spent some time with him yesterday getting a demo, and now I've got him going to a couple other people at the company to show. And then also we spent an hour and a half with the other application, and this was just grassroots, out of nowhere. That's what happening in the AI world. It's like you don't even know where this stuff is coming from, right? And it's hitting you hard, and it's effective and important.
Well, Rob, you told that story on stage about your wife, who was a small business owner in Connecticut, and she lost, someone was at her fractional CFO said, oh, I can build you an agent to be a personal assistant, right? Yeah. And your question to her was, well, how come you didn't go to your MSP? And I think she said something like, well, I never even thought about it, right? So there's a lot of work, if you want to talk a little bit about that we have to do as a channel, both in terms of from the vendors and the ITSP point of view too. Yeah.
In my mind, AI is kind of a perfect fit for the managed services space. And look, there's 1,000 examples I've already run into globally where end users have reached out to their MSP saying, hey, I have this idea. Can you help me build an agent or something like that? Even though, some days or sometimes and some technologies are relatively easy, they could probably do it themselves. But again, when it comes to technology, they're actually leveraging and reaching out to their MSPs. But again, how do you bill for I'm going to build you an agent? Like, how much time is it going to take? It's a project, that kind of stuff. And I find that most MSPs are leaving money on the table when it comes to that. But I think the more critical part, and I think where you're leading with this, is we got to be out there talking. We have to be out there talking because, what we want, and I'm sure all what MSPs want, is that every time your end user thinks about AI, and they might not be ready for it. There's still a lot of people that are not ready for it. It's confusing. I think about back in the days when we did cloud adoption and nobody knew what it was. I think there's still a good percentage of adults that think the cloud is in the sky. It's like we're still dealing with uneducation when it comes to those things. But the MSP is the kind of the perfect spot for this. So a lot of what we're doing in the programs that we're building around our partner program outside of tools is, how do you have this conversation? How do you start this conversation? You may not even know what to say in this conversation, but I think it's critical that, and you're talking about weeks, right? Not months, weeks, that these things are changing very, very fast. I think the critical part is, if Mr. or Mrs. End User, if you hear AI, think of me, call me. and we can work through this together, I'm the right spot to come to. And I think that when the dust settles, it will all end up back on the channel. But right now, it scares me to think that a finance company is now saying, I'll build agents. Like, it's not going to be long before accounting companies are going to say we can build agents. And then all of a sudden, they're not keeping the MSP in the loop on this.
Well, we could talk to you guys all day. I know you both have flights to catch, so I appreciate your time for talking with GTIA on location here at Partner Tech X. Oli, Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching GTIA on location. We are again at Partner Tech X with Bapti & Company, and we're going to be coming to more industry events throughout the year. Check our schedule, check our playlists on gtia.org, and we'll see you soon.